Claiming to be victims of abuse at the hands of Jeffrey Epstein, many of them expressing concerns surrounding the current rollout of records from the Justice Department. It comes as questions are being raised about the files that were released and then taken back.
On December 24, 2025, the Department of Justice announced on X they'd just received over 1 million additional documents, potentially, related to Jeffrey Epstein's case from the FBI and the Southern District of New York. This came 5 days after the congressional deadline for full release. They said it might take a few more weeks to review and redact for victim privacy. But here's the detail that caught my eye. This isn't the first time they've uncovered more files after claiming everything was complete. What does that pattern tell us? Let's break it down. If you followed mainstream coverage from outlets like NBC News, New York Times, or Reuters, the story sounds straightforward. The DOJ is dealing with a massive volume of new material, 1 million pages that appeared unexpectedly from the FBI and SDNY. Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche emphasized in interviews on Fox News and Meet the Press that the delay is purely to protect victims. With hundreds of lawyers working around the clock on redactions, they point to the Epstein Files Transparency Act, signed into law last month by President Trump, which set a December 19th deadline but allows for careful handling of sensitive information. The narrative focuses on logistics. Epstein died in 2019 while awaiting trial. His accomplice, Ghislaine Maxwell, was convicted in 2021, and now, with about 40,000 pages already released in batches on Friday and Tuesday, this extra tranche is just an unfortunate surprise. Spokespeople declined comment on why these weren't found earlier, but the tone is one of diligence, not drama. No mention of prior mishaps or what might be in these files. It's presented as a bump in the road toward transparency, with Blanche promising completion soon, perhaps by early January. But pause for a second, does that explanation hold up when you look closer? Let's turn to our primary source, the Epstein Files Transparency Act itself, available in full on congress.gov as Public Law 119-38. This bill, sponsored by Representatives Harriet Hageman and Sheila Jackson Lee, mandates the DOJ to release all non-exempt Epstein-related records by December 19, 2025, with specific prohibitions against redactions for reasons like embarrassment or political sensitivity. Only victim privacy and certain legal exemptions apply. What mainstream reports gloss over is how this latest discovery directly contradicts multiple prior assurances from the DOJ and FBI back in February 2025. Attorney General Pam Bondi sent a letter to FBI Director Kash Patel archived through Judicial Watch FOIA release, mandating the full and complete Epstein files by February 28th. She wrote that she'd been repeatedly assured by the FBI that we had received the full set, only to learn the New York field office held thousands more pages than in June 2025. The DOJ and FBI issued an unsigned public memo, available via the House Judiciary Committee documents, claiming they'd conducted an exhaustive review of investigative holdings relating to Jeffrey Epstein. Yet here we are, 6 months later, with over 1 million more documents surfacing. Think about that. How does an exhaustive review miss 1 million pages? Diving into the release tranches so far, which you can download from the justice.gov Epstein portal, we see specifics that raise questions. For instance, grim photos from 3 weeks before Epstein's 2019 death in the Metropolitan Correctional Center, a video of his apparent suicide attempt, and post-attempt medical reports. There's also an unverified 2020 FBI intake form, case ID 50DNY 3027571 from the FBI vault, alleging involvement by public figures and unrelated claims logged but not substantiated. These aren't abstract. They're concrete records that the Act requires be made public. Yet the delay announcement on X doesn't explain why SDNY and FBI only provided them now. This pattern interrupt. If reviews were exhaustive, why keep finding more? To understand the significance, we need historical context. Epstein's case dates to his 2008 Florida plea deal, but federal involvement ramped up in 2019 with SDNY charges. He died in custody that August, ruled a suicide. Amid questions about jail protocols, the push for transparency built over years. In 2023 to 2024, lawsuits from victims and media outlets like the Miami Herald pried loose court documents naming associates. But congressional action peaked with the Transparency Act in November 2025, passing unanimously after reports of withheld FBI files. Key backdrop: Judicial Watch's ongoing FOIA battles, which by early 2025 had uncovered memos showing internal DOJ frustration with FBI compartmentalization. For example, a February 26th revelation that the NY office held untapped records. This isn't isolated. It's part of a broader history of agency silos in high-profile cases, like the 9/11 inquiries, where documents emerged years later. Add the Maxwell trial context, her 2021 conviction relied on SDNY evidence, yet appeals cited incomplete disclosures. The million-page batch likely includes investigative notes from that era, potentially overlapping with unsealed grand jury materials of federal. Judge kept redacted in August 2025 over 70 pages. This history shows delays aren't new, but the act was designed to end them. So why persist? Now for the second revelation, connecting the dots on hypocrisy in official statements. Consider Bondi's February letter, obtained via Judicial Watch. She accused the FBI of incomplete handovers, despite assurances. Fast forward to Blanche's December 20th Fox interview, where he said, "We expect the entirety of the Epstein files to be online by January 2nd, based on what they had then." But the June memo, co-signed by DOJ and FBI, explicitly stated an exhaustive review. You can find it in House Judiciary Records, page 13. "We have conducted an exhaustive review." Yet the December 24th ex post admits to uncovering more from those same agencies. This isn't just oversight, it's a direct contradiction. Look at specifics in recent releases. The suicide attempt video from MCC logs, timestamp July 23, 2019, shows Epstein in distress, raising questions about monitoring that mainstream skipped. The unverified tip in FBI vault files, alleging 1984 events involving figures like Trump, pure hearsay, but why include it if not relevant? Bipartisan senators like Marsha Blackburn and Dick Durbin have threatened contempt hearings. Per C-SPAN clips from December 21st, Blackburn said, "This pattern suggests obstruction." Yet MSM focuses on volume, not accountability. Open Secrets data adds another layer. Lobbying around the act included victim groups pushing for privacy, but also indirect ties to Epstein's old network donors from the 1990s, like contributions to Democratic committees. Small, but illustrative of lingering influences. Pattern interrupt. If assurances keep breaking, what else remains hidden? What does this mean? First, it erodes trust in the DOJ's process. The act prohibits political redactions, yet heavy blackouts in the 40,000 pages some entire sections invite scrutiny. Could delays shield embarrassing connections rather than victims? Questions raised. Why did SDNY and FBI hold back? Internal audits promised in the June memo apparently failed. This could prompt congressional subpoenas, as hinted in Judiciary Committee statements for the public. It means incomplete transparency on Epstein's network, potentially involving intelligence ties, as suggested in declassified CIA reading room docs from earlier FOIS. No smoking gun, but the pattern suggests systemic issues in handling sensitive cases. Implications extend to accountability. If agencies can't locate their own files, how reliable are investigations? It raises fair questions about whether this is incompetence or intent. Without jumping to conclusions, finally, for victims, genuine privacy concerns are valid, but using them as a blanket excuse risks undermining the act's purpose to verify. Start with the Epstein Files Transparency Act on congress.gov, Bondi's letter via Judicial Watch, the June memo from House Judiciary Docs and releases at justice.gov/Epstein-files, FBI Vault for specific intakes, open secrets for lobbying data. This is what mainstream often misses the full pattern. If it raises questions for you, dig into these sources. Thanks for watching. Stay informed. Stay informed.